Something known as the nation's report card emerged recently, showing the largest dips in test scores ever recorded for 4th and 8th graders. Let's bring in my guest tonight. He's the former U.S. Secretary of Education, John King, up late with me tonight here on the Final Five to talk about it. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Unfortunately, under the circumstances over the last couple of days, what we've learned is just stunning drops in these test scores, whether it comes to math or reading. And there really is one major factor that seems to be to blame here.
Yeah, it's COVID. Look, it's heartbreaking to see these troubling results for students. Really exacerbated gaps and challenges we saw before COVID. But COVID really disrupted the lives of kids and families, disrupted school. Kids lost loved ones, parents lost jobs, families lost homes. So all of that has a toll, and we're seeing that in these results.
So obviously there's been a lot of parsing of the results and what could be to blame, what was done right, what was done wrong. And granted, there is time for a postmortem here, but clearly the focus, I would imagine, needs to be moving on and looking past this, and how do you get kids back on the right track?
That's exactly right. We shouldn't spend any time on blame and finger pointing. We should be looking forward and saying, how do we use the resources? And there are significant federal dollars, $125 billion in the American Rescue Plan for schools. How do we use those resources to help make up what students have missed, address that unfinished learning? We know tutoring can be a very powerful tool. We know expanded learning time after school, summer, can help us make up some of the time. And we know that kids need socio-emotional support, counselors, mental health services to address the trauma that many kids have experienced over these last few years. If we make those investments, we can catch up, but we've got to do it urgently.
When you mentioned the idea of just the behavioral aspect, the mental health aspect, something that we have seen, I guess, encouraging that we're seeing a discussion about it for kids across the country, but unfortunately, that usually only seems to come after they've endured tragedy, like a school shooting, or granted, now we have the recovery from COVID. So have we been on the right track when it comes to those needs, or is this sort of accelerated that as well?
You know, look, it's put a bright spotlight on those issues, but those were challenges before COVID. You know, you think about some of the schools around the state where there's 600 kids with one school counselor. How could that one school counselor possibly support those students? So we've got to make much more of an investment in school counselors and mental health services. We also have to make sure that teachers have professional development and support around addressing those socio-emotional issues that kids might bring to the classroom.
You know, we have seen a lot of investment now in just getting these schools back open and making sure. It looks like a lot of districts across the country have at least been able to take this time to find ways to make the learning experience more conducive and more inclusive to students. But when we talked about the virtual learning options that really a lot of schools were sort of forced into last minute. Again, I know we said it doesn't really benefit us to keep looking back, but that has to be addressed in some way, shape, or form, because does that pave the way if we have to do this again, if we have to walk down this, God forbid, that maybe these schools might be a little more prepared for it?
Look, certainly we did a lot of work as a country to make sure that every kid had a device and internet access. That was a big improvement because before COVID, we were talking about the homework gap, kids who didn't have the technology to really participate. So now we've addressed that largely, not everywhere, but we've made good progress there. We still have work to do to provide professional development for teachers around leveraging technology in the classroom. But at the end of the day, we want kids in the classroom with teachers. It's those relationships with teachers that matter so much, and all the other elements of school, extracurriculars, the relationships with peers. That's vital. And that COVID period, when schools were closed because of public health concerns, that was incredibly difficult. And we're still navigating COVID, still to this day.
Absolutely.
But it is important that kids are in classrooms.
When we talk about the education system locally, something that you talked about, you ran for governor of Maryland back in the Democratic primary earlier this year, and you know, clearly across the state, it's not a big state geographically, but when you look at the gaps and you look at what one district has, what one county has, as opposed to others, I mean, we talk about Baltimore County and the differences between what you might see in Montgomery County. Governor Hogan yesterday, when they asked him about this report, he said this is what happened when the local boards, when the local agencies made the decision to keep schools closed. Do you think Do you think schools were closed too long, or was that what you had to do in terms of a public health emergency?
You know, people were making sense of the public health conditions in their local community. But actually, if you look at the results across the country, there isn't really a clear pattern based on how long schools were virtual. The reality is COVID disrupted everything in kids' lives, and that's what we're seeing in these test results. And the question now is, how do we use the resources that we can to make up for what kids have missed?
Last thing I want to ask you is, because something that we had a national conversation about during the Bush administration when it came to standardized testing. When you looked at the yardsticks that were used to determine this report, is that an accurate depiction of where kids stand, or is there a way that maybe they should consider down the road?
Yeah, it doesn't tell us everything we need to know, but it tells us something important. We know that kids have, unfortunately, not made the progress they should have in reading and math, and we need to act on that. You know, we also want to look at things like, are kids missing a lot of school? Are they chronically absent? We want to look at, are kids graduating from high school and going on to college and career success? We want to look at a broad set of indicators, but fundamentally, if you aren't a strong reader by the end of 3rd grade, the evidence suggests you're going to struggle throughout your life. And so we've got to really focus as a country and as a state on getting kids the resources and support they need to make sure they have that strong foundation.
Yeah, especially, and, you know, I think about where I grew up. You know, I grew up in sort of a blue-collar area where steel mills had just been shutting down. And, you know I didn't have the same opportunities that kids at other schools did, but it helped to have a good environment around me and people encouraging. And I really wish the kids these days have that as well.
Absolutely. And part of why tutoring can be so powerful is that relationship with a mentor, that one adult in your life who can help steer you in the right direction alongside your family. That's an important investment for us to make.
John King, good to see you. Thanks for coming in tonight.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Great to see you. And the Final Five is back right after this.